Get some analysis of this race right now. Joining me are Dan Casino, a political professor at Fairleigh Dickinson University, and Jersey City-based Democratic strategist Tara Dowdell. So great to have both of you here this evening. And Tara, let's begin with you here. When you heard from both the candidates here on the issues, not really at some points aligning with the top of the ticket, did that surprise you?
No, it didn't surprise me, particularly for Curtis Bashaw, because aligning at the top of the ticket carries big risk. But I was surprised how aligned, despite him not aligning on everything, I was surprised by how much he aligned and how he tried to avoid and was evasive. He didn't want to disalign. But he's trying to thread the needle, and that was what was obvious here, because Trump is deeply unpopular, particularly in New Jersey, and Trump has positions that are even more unpopular than he is personally in New Jersey.
Yeah, what do you think, Dan?
The big challenge that the Republican candidate has in New Jersey is trying to say, I'm not a real typical Republican. I'm very different. And we saw Bashaw hitting that point again and again. I'm an outsider, I'm a businessman, and trying to stick to principles and not really get into any concrete policy, because whatever he says is going to get him in trouble with the Republican base, and he's trying to avoid that. I thought his other challenge is trying to make Kim an unacceptable candidate, and that's really difficult because Kim, as you saw, comes across, he keeps on saying practical, pragmatic. He even used the word institutionalist, which is very much a University of Chicago political scientist word. And it's hard to make Andy Kim seem scary, and Bashaw's job is to make him seem scary, and I just don't think he was getting there in this, at least out of this talk tonight.
Yeah, and Bashaw did say that he would not line up with the Republicans on certain issues, reproductive rights being one of them. Did that at all surprise you?
No, that didn't surprise me. I mean, that would be political suicide, I think, in New Jersey.
Yeah.
But what did surprise me was he did refuse to say that he would support reinstating Roe, right? And so that's going to be a problem for him. It's going to be a problem for him in New Jersey, and I think that's a problem for Republicans across the country.
Well, I want to talk about this poll, Dan. Curtis Bashaw's campaign put it out today, showing that this is a really close race. Now, granted, it's an internal poll, right? It had it within 5%. What do you make of that poll? I mean, you had with Fairleigh Dickinson a poll, but that was before Menendez dropped out.
Yes. So with Fairleigh Dickinson poll, we had Kim by 14, which is actually historically much closer to what we would see in this race. The Republican theory of this race was that if Menendez is in the race and gets 7 or 8 points, and there's little support for Biden, Democrats aren't thrilled with Biden, then it can be a relatively close race. And I think that theory made sense. But Menendez is out of the race, and Democrats are over the moon about Kamala Harris. So you have to, I think, really stretch to imagine a world in which Republicans within 5 points statewide in New Jersey in the Senate race.
So it's internal polling is just
internal polling is released for a good reason, right? They are trying to shape something, and they're trying to say, look, we think we've got a shot here, because you have to see that to your donors. You can't go to your donors and say, yeah, we're down by 15, we're not going to win this. You have to come in, you have to put out numbers. So I'm sure you can massage the numbers a little bit to get to +5.
Got a final minute here, Tara. I want to come to you because for Mr. Kim and Mr. Bashaw, strength and weakness.
I think they were obvious, right? So for Andy Kim, he talked a lot more about issues and in detail policies and issues. For Curtis Bashaw, he was threading the needle and he was trying to be avoidance and evasive. And so he really didn't talk. He was very light on substance and didn't really talk a lot about issues at all.
Was there a weakness for Kim?
I think for Andy Kim, he's probably going to have to sort of boil some of those points down a little bit, be a little bit sharper on hitting some of those points.
Dan?
So big weakness for Kim. He does come off as very wonky, right? He wants to talk about policy really in depth, and you're going to lose voters doing that. Big problem for Bashaw is really trying to thread that needle, is trying to define himself, but also trying to define Andy Kim as being an unacceptable liberal Democrat when he doesn't come off that way.
We'll see what happens with the debates. We did want the debate, but they seem to have made their choices. Tara and Dan, great to have both of you here tonight. And early voting, by the way, doesn't get underway for another 2 months. But, of course, we here at PIX11 can keep you updated on all the issues on PIX on Politics, which you'll now be able to watch. Big news here on Fridays at 6:30 p.m. starting September 6th. And, of course, with the replays on Sundays at 7:30.